everybody that's here. I know we have an official photographer, so since we're almost all entrepreneurs in this group, almost all of us are entrepreneurs or entrepreneurial in spirit, and the Texas House, this is the first year, right, Will?
Yes, sir.
This is their inaugural year. They have a fabulous photographer that's taking great photos. So will you do me a favor to help them? If you're standing on the side right now, just for the first 15 or 20 minutes, take seats if you would, because there's a lot of you here, and that way the photographer is going to be able to capture the fact that a lot of people came out for the inaugural Trailblazers Day as a part of Texas House. Sorry, that's the serial entrepreneur in me. Always be Brandon. Make sure that you are always making sure that you got the right setup. So I am thrilled to be joined by Mayor Jim of Cedar Park and Shay, the CTO of Firefly. This is just an unbelievable time for Texas, unbelievable time for the Texas economy, but more importantly, the growing space industry. You all are leading the way on this right now. Jim, from your perspective, just speak very briefly to what it feels like to be mayor of Cedar Park when they have just hosted just an unbelievable week. In fact, I was at the launch or the landing party up in your neck of the woods. What's it feel like to be mayor of Cedar Park right now with Firefly in your backyard?
It feels absolutely great. You know, it is kind of cool to be able to say you're the mayor of a city that hosts the only company to land on the moon and stay upright. But no, it's been extremely rewarding for all of us involved with City Park and my city manager and some of our economic development team, including Scott, they're here. And, you know, to have grown with Firefly. I think for Cedar Park, people say a lot of nice things lately. You guys probably feel the same way. You probably felt the same way in your business. Like you're that overnight success old joke about being a musician where you labor and work for years and build this foundation and suddenly everybody finds out about you. And they're like, wow, where'd this come from? We're like, well, a lot of hard work. So Cedar Park has grown with Firefly and a lot of other businesses and been a place where people want to raise their family, work, and create a business. And we've been laying that foundation for decades. It's nice to kind of see it becoming fully visible to the rest of the world.
Yeah. And Shay, to be at your launch, actually it's called the Moon Landing Party. I know from your biography, you even highlight the fact that even as far back as 1993, you were working on satellites. For me, in that same year and year before, I was an intern at NASA during my senior year at West Point as an aerospace engineer. And I am such a space nerd that I shamelessly brought my NASA badge from 1992 for my internship with me, and every Firefly member I met, I presented my credentials and my bona fides, and just threw all kinds of love and praise on what you all have accomplished. Because, and again, we love our brothers and sisters at Intuitive Machines, but what they have helped demonstrate is how hard it is what these folks did one shot out of the gate. So your journey was not an overnight sensation. You've been at this for decades. Shay, take a moment to just, share with us just the human side of what this is like right now, when you see these images and shots coming back from the moon, and you all help put it up there. And then we're going to take a minute to kind of go through the backstory. But first, start with how it feels.
So, thanks for having me.
Yep.
To go back 7 years when we started the program, I joined the company in early 2018 as a consultant. I came on as an employee in September, and I'd been in the industry for a long time already, at that point, about 24 years, something like that. And most of the people at Firefly have never done any launches before. They never put anything into space in before. There's a few SpaceX people leading the way, but we were basically building a whole new generation of rocket scientists and space engineers. And Austin is not known for this. Cedar Park is not known for this. So we couldn't just recruit like most companies could recruit, but that was to our advantage. Because we have a motto, we'd rather hire no experience than the wrong experience. Because you can train no experience. If you hire the right passion, the right, smart people that are just in it to do amazing stuff, you can build unbelievable teams. So if you fast forward to last week, I didn't get to go to the party. I kept wanting to go, but then I was.
But you actually
busy.
had something to do?
I was busy. So, but even myself, you didn't hear me on comms. I intentionally am out of the way because I want my team to thrive. This team has never landed anything on the moon, of course. They've never even put a spacecraft in orbit before. And so we mentored this team from mostly college grads or 3 to 5 years experience to leading this effort to land on the moon. So to me, from the personal experience, is just watching this team succeed and do something completely amazing through their own passion and their own grit, effectively. You know, many of them have moved here. A lot of them moved here single. Now they're married with kids. They have houses. They're just setting up a whole life for themselves. And this is sort of the foundation of their life. It's like when they go, if they ever leave Firefly, they start the interview with, "Oh yeah, I led the moon landing."
That's not a bad way to start an interview.
It's a really great start. So anyways, I can go all sorts of directions, and on what you want to go with the conversation. But yeah, there's a lot there. This is a 7-year journey. This wasn't a overnight by any means.
Yeah, and that's a great foundation. And we've only got a few minutes before we go to the next panel, so I'm going to stay with you on this idea. But when it comes to building that team, and it is notable to point out, as you say, that for many people, this was their very first launch ever. How do you set the conditions from a leadership standpoint? I mean, after all, it was the wildcatters that were poking holes in spots all over Texas 100 years ago that sometimes came up dry. How did you set the expectations that, folks, we might get there and we might be like a bug on a windshield. We might get there and tip over, or we might be successful. How, as a leader, do you set the conditions for that kind of entrepreneurial spirit?
So there's a couple things. I'll go one avenue and I'll go the other. If you look at Apollo, the average age during Apollo was also in the late 20s, early 30s. So there's precedence that this is actually what it takes to do amazing things. When you build a team like this, we all started with some core concepts: extreme ownership, have each other's back, set a vision, and if you start checking those boxes, people start collaborating versus fighting. They support each other. If somebody trips and falls, they help them stand up. When you see somebody as a leader, when you see somebody failing, you help them stand up, and you bring in some outside support. And so I was lucky enough to work at Kennedy Space Center for 4 years, and I know a lot of people that have been in the industry for 50, 60 years. And so we can call them up and say, "Hey, we've got a strange question for you. Can you come in and bring them in?" We even had one of the Apollo flight directors come in and give the team a pep talk. But fundamentally, we didn't put a lot of time into contingencies and this could be a bad day. It was all about this: we are going to win, and this is what winning looks like. And we practiced, and specifically the team practiced every single day for 6 months straight leading up to the launch. So when we started power on all the way through landing, everybody kept saying, "This was easier than the sim. This was easier than the sim." And because we simulated so much, we sort of used a race car analogy. At some point, you got the car that you're going to race with, and you need to focus on how good of a driver are you. And so we really switched at about 6 months before launch from, let's stop messing with the spacecraft. The spacecraft is what it is. There was some stuff, but majority of the team was focused on how are we going to drive this spacecraft. And they all became experts in their own discipline, and that's really, in my opinion, one of the keys to success.
Yeah, that's an inspiring way to frame it. But the key word I heard in there, of course, was teamwork. And so, Mayor Jim, I want to look at you. And by the way, the reason why I call him Mayor Jim is not just because he's the mayor, but I've actually known Jim for over 15 years now. We both served in the Army together. And to see him in this leadership role is inspiring. So I always have to give him the rank and title, which is Mayor Jim. So tell us, from a leadership standpoint, what you have seen both from your military experiences and how that communicates into your leadership role and what you're doing with the city manager, who I know is here as well, and trying to bring together all the elements to support. Because the other key thing I heard in what was said is the people that came in single are now creating families. They're having kids and they're growing. So they're going to be entrenched in their community. That takes leadership to be able to grow Cedar Park in a responsible way. What's that look like? How do you take those experiences?
Yeah, I think it really kind of goes back to something you and I learned as plebes at West Point, is that like great teams are made up of great people, and leadership is about kind of harnessing those abilities. Exactly what you were saying as well, Shay, is you get the right people, give them an important mission and the tools to do that. Amazing things happen, and that's been true in this state, in this country from the beginning. I think one of the core principles around everything we do in our city is just recognizing that attracting that great talent from wherever they're coming from in the world and being a community that has great parks. We have an amazing new public library that we think really shows off just how much we value knowledge in our city. And being a great place with a very high quality of life brings you the nerds, and that is what Firefly and every other tech company is chasing. You go back to the 19th century, you know, boomtown, you have you have free-flowing water, coal, and iron ore, and that makes you Pittsburgh, Birmingham, England, Birmingham, Alabama. The secret to economic development today, and I think this is something probably we'll hear throughout the rest of this day, right? The secret is finding the nerds, getting the smartest people, hardest working people, and creating a home for them, a place where they want to grow professionally, but also personally, and the employers follow.
Well said. So we only have a couple of minutes of this kickoff panel to kind of set the tone and the energy for today. So, Shay, Blue Ghost is just the beginning. Give us kind of a sneak peek, excite that inner nerd in all of us, what's coming down the road. And then, by all means, I know you'll be on the next panel, but specifically to Firefly, tell us how we can get involved with what y'all are doing.
So there's no rest. Half of our team is at Vandenberg right now. We have a launch Saturday morning, maybe Sunday morning, depending on weather. So that'll be our 6th Alpha launch. Alpha is the rocket that we pretty much started with as a company. It's our 1 metric ton to low Earth orbit. So you could send, like a Mini Cooper to low Earth orbit, approximately. And we're launching for Lockheed Martin. Lockheed Martin is doing a lot of investing in themselves, and we are a core, I'll call it a partner. They're leaning on us for a lot of launches. So the ideal scenario is they're one of our primary customers for our launches to space with our Alpha vehicle. That's followed by, we have our Elytra spacecraft, which is basically, think of Blue Ghost without legs. Blue Ghost is a spacecraft, it just happens to land. Elytra will be another spacecraft like Blue Ghost, except it will be moving around in low Earth orbit. And we're doing that mission specifically for national security. And we'll be doing a lot more stuff for national security. You may have heard of the Iron Dome or other things like that. We're going to lean forward a lot to make sure we do whatever we can to help defend the country and to play in that, in addition to continuing doing science and commercial activities for companies that are trying to do commercial in space.
Excellent. And then, Mayor Jim, before you hop off the stage, what's next for Cedar Park? What should people be looking for? And how can they get engaged with what y'all are doing?
I think we a lot of exciting things coming that unfortunately I can't give too much specifics on.
Ooh.
But we
you didn't hear it here first, but something big is coming.
But especially in aerospace and defense, certainly Firefly's success has helped pave the way for a lot of others. But also, just Central Texas is a very natural home, right, for areas like ourselves, right, that want to create businesses. You got Fort Cavazos to our north, not to pain my Longhorn friends, but you got amazing work being done over in A&M and their Relis, and a great platform there. I look forward to hearing more about that from Plug and Play here shortly, which also has at their first office and continues to have office in Cedar Park. So we continue to pave the way and be a great home for innovative businesses. We just had Innovis open up their surgical training facility. That was last month's success. So stay tuned. We're going to continue bringing in whales, but also what I think we're most excited about are the small fish, small seedlings that will grow into the Fireflies of tomorrow.
Well said. Give him a hand, please.